Good morning, Illinois. It's a privilege and honor to be standing here with all of you today. Please make no mistake, because I'm standing up here in front of you doesn't make me any different than any one of you. I am just like all of you right here, and we are here because of a cause. I see somebody with a sign out there. My rights don't end where your fear begins. That couldn't be more true. If it's one thing that history has taught us, and we can look throughout cultures over the ages, is that governments have used internal and external threats to create fear, to get their citizens to give away their personal liberties, their freedoms, and only to turn around and take all of them in exchange for us giving those away. History has shown it again and again and again. Benjamin Franklin said it. I didn't. Those individuals who would give up personal liberties, essential liberties, for the purchase of temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Here we stand, Lincoln Memorial, and I think about all the tremendous patriots who have served our countries. I think about individuals like Abraham Lincoln. I think about Susan B. Anthony. I think about individuals like Dr. Martin Luther King. I think about these men and women who had the courage to stand up, and in some cases, quite literally, chose to sit down to take a stand. I think about the tens of thousands of brave men and women, soldiers who have fought, who have died, who continue to die, and who continue to fight to protect our essential liberties. And those aren't just about external threats. Those threats can come from within as well. You see, I'm not exactly like those men and women. I am inspired by those men and women. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an obligation to stand up for what I believe to be right. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and her father tries to raise her each and every day to be a strong woman, to stand up and be firm in her convictions, and stand up for little people, to stand up for timeless truths. And if here, in this moment, if her father is confronted with an injustice, with something that is very, very wrong, and I don't have the courage to stand up myself, how can I ever look at my 9-year-old again and expect her to do the same? I am here because I believe in the American dream. I believe in the American way. I'm a small business owner like many of you. I have dozens of employees who believe in our business, believe in serving our local community, and they rely on our business for a paycheck. They don't want to milk handouts. They don't want to sit on unemployment. They want to earn their living. We need to take this state back. We need to give our communities the opportunity to choose whether or not they want to come and shop or not. We need to give our employees the opportunity to choose whether or not they want to come back and work or not. So let's stand up and let's take our communities back. I love you, Illinois.
All right, how about a big round of applause for Adam? Our next speaker is Jennifer Welch Ostrander. Jennifer is the owner of 2 businesses deemed non-essential. She is a retired military veteran of 22 years. She is a champion for women who own small businesses. She told us that she never protested anything in her life, but came to our first rally to stand up for small business owners everywhere. She has joined us here today to share her story. Please give it up for Jennifer.
Hello, Springfield. I can tell you guys are excited as I am to be here today. I have a question for you. Are you as mad as I am? Are you ready to make a difference and take back our state? Let's do this. He already introduced me. My name is Jennifer Ostrander. I'm not a professional protester, and I'm not a professional speaker, so I will be reading it. I'm a retired military veteran of 2 years. Originally from the state of Nevada, which, by the way, has no income tax and low property taxes, if you can imagine that. My husband of 30 years is also a 28-year military veteran. He's over there. And he's from a state of South Dakota, also a state with no income tax. Keeping it in the family, my son is currently in the Marine Corps. Just finishing up a 3-year tour of Embassy Guard, where he was in Africa, Milan, and Mexico. We chose to make Southern Illinois our home after retiring from Scott Air Force Base. But unfortunately, JB is making us have second thoughts about this decision. Many of our retired friends have already left or are going to make the move very soon. In 2017, we bought an 80,000 square foot dilapidated building that had been for sale for 6 years. We have spent the last 2.5 years rehabbing this building, investing our own capital, taking out several bank loans, and using our own sweat equity, making it a project that our entire town could be proud of. Yeah, from Highland. I have some supporters here. We have served as an incubator for 6 women-owned businesses, all of who are standing with me here today, all of which have been closed for 60 days as of today. My 2 businesses is a gymnastics center with 500 athletes and a special event venue. Both fall under JB Pritzker's Phase 5. According to his timeline, I may not open until August or later. I can tell you that 30 days is too long, 60, 90, 120 days is unsustainable. I can also tell you that if this extends past June 1st, it will cause severe financial hardship and potential bankruptcy. And I know that we are not the only ones in this predicament. In fact, there have been over 100,000 businesses nationwide so far that have closed permanently, and many more to come from the state of Illinois if we do not reopen soon. When I was getting ready to research for this speech, I came across JB's campaign website, and I was floored by what I found. And this is going to have a little participation. I'm going to read the quote, and when I ask you a question, you're going to say, hell no. Practice? Awesome. Okay, here we go. I'm going to be a governor who works for all Illinoisans. You're early. Do you think he's working for all Illinoisans? Hell no. I'm going to proudly lead Illinois forward. Do you think he's leading us forward? We are quickly becoming the laughingstock of the rest of the nation in a case of what not to do. I have plans to put Illinois back on the working side of families. Working families. Do you think he has put working families in mind when he came up with his own 5-phase plan extending this indefinitely? This is a good one. We're going to bring back good-paying jobs. Do you think any company in their right mind would ever want to move their business to Illinois? Many businesses and workers have already left the state after this fiasco. The mass exodus will continue. And finally, we're going to make sure every child gets a quality education. Do you think our children are getting a quality education by being quarantined and e-learning at home? Hell no. This pandemic has gone on long enough. Here's a little hint, JB. We're not going to get a bailout from the federal government, no matter how bad you try to make the state of Illinois look. Most governors who love their state are trying to find ways to help their small businesses open. They want to solve problems. They provide leadership and take responsibility for their own state. And they don't blame others. They don't send threatening emails and warnings about rescinding state business and liquor licenses if you have violated his executive order. They do allow their general assemblies to meet so both sides of the aisle can come together and represent their constituents the way the Constitution intended. And finally, they don't send their spouse and families to another state that's open, defying the very stay-at-home order that is mandated on the rest of us. If this does not seem hypocritical to you, you are obviously part of the problem. This is not a D thing or an R thing, this is a livelihood thing. Our neighboring states of Wisconsin, Missouri, Indiana are opening up, but our tyrannical governor is keeping us closed during his 5-phase plan and highly discouraging us from crossing state borders for goods and services. I live in Highland, Illinois, 30 miles east of St. Louis, and it is truly frustrating to see Missouri wide open while we are forced to remain closed indefinitely. We did our due diligence and closed for 30 days to flatten the curve and don't overwhelm the hospitals. Now we see that they are furloughing nurses and doctors, and many hospitals are in a financial crisis. Talk about the cure being worse than the disease. JB has continually moved the goalposts to the point now that if you fall under Phase 5, you won't be open unless there is a treatment or a vaccine. I can tell you, I don't think most of us would have rolled over and gone along with this in the beginning if you had told us up front that it could extend past 30 days. It is completely unsustainable, and unfortunately, many small businesses will not survive, which leads me to the 5 stages of grief that many of us are familiar with. Like many of you, I've definitely been through 3 stages during this roller coaster ride over the last 60 days. Denial. Surely they don't have the right to shut us down. Anger. Did they really just shut us down? Depression. They have actually shut us down. And now we have 0 income, many bills coming due, including our outrageous property tax bill in July. I'm mandated to pay taxes on a building and property that I can't even operate or generate revenue. And at the same time, I'm mandated to be closed. Talk about an oxymoron. The 2 stages of grief that I won't give into, and I hope you all won't give into either, is bargaining to reopen your business and acceptance. And by you being here today, I know we're on the right track. Thank you. When you're on a plane, one of the things they tell you during the safety briefing is in case of loss of cabin pressure, you need to put on your own mask first before assisting others. So my message to Gov Pritzker and the Democratic legislators, you might want to take care of your own bankrupt state and promise pensions first before you declare Illinois a sanctuary state, and use our tax dollars for programs that do nothing for our own Illinois tax-paying citizens and our state workers. So easy to point out that the worst fiscal states in the union are New York, California, and Illinois. All sanctuary states, all poorly run, all begging for bailouts, all dragging their heels, almost competing with each other in a one-upmanship competition as to who can be the last one to open. Rather than expect a bailout, how about we just reopen? Let our businesses and employees get back to work, pay our bills and taxes the old-fashioned way, by working. We don't want unemployment, We don't want more PPP loans or a $3 trillion spending plan. We just want to work. Is that too much to ask? Thank you. Hey, as a military veteran, I raise my right hand and I solemnly swore to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, J.B. Pritzker. And that is why I'm here today, to defend my rights as an American citizen, as a business owner, and as a veteran who served my country. My daughter asked me if I was nervous to speak today in front of this crowd because people can be mean and take things you say out of context. I told her that I've been talking the talk long enough. It was time for me to walk the walk up these stairs and let JB know that it's only a matter of time before he has a complete mutiny on his hands. By this time next year, this whole thing will have been forgotten, exposed for the farce that it was during an election year, no less. And I know in the end, it will be proven that we were on the right side of history. Let's roll.
Today, we stand here on the Capitol steps of a once great state of Illinois.
That's right.
But today, we're living in horrific and tyrannical times. We as Illinoisans are surrounded by prosperity. Looking across our borders, for me it's Iowa, I see jobs, I see businesses opening, and I see hope. But looking back at Illinois, I see despair and I see misery. But I see people who want to work. Governor, each one of us and the jobs that we hold are essential. This virus is deadly to those who are at risk. But for the majority, it is not. Hospitals and doctors' offices across this state lie empty. Panic has swept this land, causing thousands of people unable to get the medical care and treatment they need, resulting in many having undiagnosed cancers, different health conditions, and other treatments. We here today respect life. We respect all life, the young, the old, and the unborn. Governor, protect those who are at risk, but set us free. Government models had told us 2 million people would die, but this never happened. We were told not to wear masks, but now we're told to wear masks. We were told by government officials we can't believe the CDC. And, Mr. Governor, we don't believe you. You base your policies on fictitious information. In Illinois, we can't have more than 2 people in a boat, but I can have 5 strangers in my car. My dog can get a haircut, but I can't. If you live in Illinois, you can buy dope and kill a baby, but you cannot worship our Lord and Savior. Governor, you are destroying the economy, which will result in thousands succumbing to needless suffering, leading to depression, suicide, physical and abuse of drugs and alcohol. You restrict the gun ownership of a law-abiding citizen, and now you quarantine the healthy. Governor, your cure has become worse than the disease. But this is no longer about the virus or protecting Illinois. It's about destroying our economy for a federal bailout. We here, the common people, cannot fly our families in private jets to Florida to get to freedom. We do not live and have a trust fund. We get our hands dirty because we work for a living. And we don't want your handouts. No. We Americans want to work. And to our law enforcement friends here today, we have always stood by you and supported you. So remember this. Remember this. Honor your oath. Your oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help you God. Governor Pritzker, if you care about this state, if you care about its citizens, let us work. Governor Pritzker, open this state. God bless you. Thank you.
Hello, Patriots! You guys are awesome. You are awesome. Okay. To see so many beautiful young people out here. Woo! You are the future. Just really quickly, I want to tell you about some heroes. You know about these guys, and you'll hear from a couple of them. State Rep Darren Bailey, State Rep John Cabello, Brad Halbrook, Blaine Wilhauer, Alan Skillicorn, Tom Morrison, and others who have stepped up to challenge Emperor Pritzker as he has continually overstepped his authority. Pritzker's overstepping has been stomping on all of our God-given rights. All right, now I've got an assignment for everybody. You know the legislature is going to be back in session next week, and they're up to no good. And our great reps that are on our side are going to fight as hard as they can, but it's going to be up to we the people to put the pressure on the bad guys and stop them. So every freedom-loving citizen in Illinois must call, email, tweet, send carrier pigeons if you have to get through to these people. Do not give the governor any more power. Do not extend the governor's induced let them eat cake shutdown. Don't you dare mandate all vote by mail. That'll be the end of the Republican Party in Illinois. AKA the Voter Fraud Assistance Act. That's what that is.
That's right.
No to any mandatory vaccines. No to any contact tracing. We will not have it. We will not have it. No federal bailouts. Take that progressive tax off the ballot in November. We will not have it. We will not have it. No new taxes at all. And as the good doctor said, a little special note to our LEOs, our law enforcement officers, whether you're state police, county sheriffs, whatever. Do not let our government officials use you as the boots across the throats of patriots. Now, you can find us, Illinois Conservative Union, at IL, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, C as in Charlie.org, ILPAC.org. We have a Restore, or an Open Illinois reference page with a lot of the Edgar County Watchdogs research, a lot of the lawsuits. If you know small business owners who need courage, send them to our website. That page has got tremendous resources for them. You can sign up on our website, receive our action alerts. We are working with a little organization you might have heard of called Judicial Watch in Washington, D.C. Well, we've been friends with them for a while, and guess what? We're going to sue the state of Illinois to clean our voter rolls. So sign up for our action alerts. Together we can make a difference. God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Heather and Dr. Sean.
Speak real close.
Okay. I was gonna chicken out up until 10 minutes ago. So, Catherine. So I too am reading. But when I thought about the reason that I'm gonna stand here today and talk to all of you guys and tremble is because I have 3 kids who suit up every single day to defend our freedoms, the Constitution of the United States. They took an oath that they would defend all of us against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yes, that's right.
And right now, Mr. Pritzker, you are our enemy. I can't tell you how amazing it is to see all of you guys. We live way up north on the Illinois-Wisconsin border.
Yeah.
Used to be living in central Illinois, and it's a different world up there.
Yes, it is.
It's liberal. And we're ready to go back down south. But if Pritzker doesn't get... If he doesn't get fired, good word,
That's right.
we're taking it out of Illinois.
That's right.
But here's what I want to say to you guys. Please, do what you have to do. You can no longer sit on the fence. You can no longer ride that pine. It's time for you to get in the game. That's right. If you don't stand up for something, you're going to fall for everything. Yeah. And right now, I have one that's getting ready to go overseas. I get to see him this weekend for 5 days. I have one that's right there who fights, and I have one that is at Fort Leonard Wood. This will not be in vain.
Thank you.
This will not be in vain. Know your Constitution. Know your rights, guys. Open your businesses. Stand up.
Open Illinois. Open Illinois.
Open Illinois. Open Illinois. Open Illinois. Open Illinois.
Open Illinois. Open Illinois.
You guys are strong. You are resilient. You are business owners. You have a backbone. Go back to your homes. Not your homes, your businesses. Go back to your businesses. Open your doors. Let those people in. Don't be afraid. Stand up for your rights. Illinois is behind you. There is a small group of corrupt ones, but we are stronger. We are much stronger.
We the people.
Yes. So my one thing, do not let those who are serving your country, past, present, and future, don't let that be in vain.
So now is not the time to be fearful and timid or to be silent. Why is it
that right now we're not allowed to go to church and exercise our First Amendment right, but yet you can go to a pot dispensary and you can have an abortion. Why is it that right now they're trying to take away our Second Amendment right to bear arms and to protect our family, but yet they are releasing thousands of criminals into the community to make more room for you just to go out and feed your family? Why is it okay for government officials to tell you to stay home when they get to go on vacation? Or go get a haircut because some mayors in Chicago think that their hygiene is more important because they're in the public eye. But yet they'll arrest you if you own a salon and you open it up.
That's right, hypocrite.
Why are some businesses essential and others are not? And why, even though I'm a physician, why is it some people they consider essential, some human beings they don't? Everybody's essential. Just as my wife said, and you can see why she's the boss. Coincidentally enough, today is Armed Forces Day. Let's give a round of applause for everybody protecting our freedom. But will you be bold and stand right with them and risk your life for them as well?
USA! 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 USA!
When it comes to your health and your freedom, understand they're getting ready to pass some things, and they've already started hiring people behind your back to trace every move you make. So not only do they want to take away your weapons, but then they want to come to your home and they want to quarantine you and take away your family if somebody in your house has a common cold like the coronavirus. And do you want to know what I say to that? I say, if you think you're going to come to my house, take my family or my weapons, I'll meet you on the front lawn with my Second Amendment right in my hand. But as I finish up, please listen. We have to be bold. It takes boldness to stand up for your rights. It takes boldness to go back to work and take your mask off. They don't have the manpower to shut us all down. Pastors, it takes boldness to open your church up so that we can praise God. Law enforcement who dedicate your lives and your career to protecting your communities, it takes boldness to stand against a dictator and protect our Constitution. And moms and dads, it takes boldness to stand for your family's privacy and your health and their future. Because if you don't, they will take it from you. We have to be bold. So today, no matter who you are, whether you are ready to go into battle, you don't have a choice. It's been brought to you. And now you've been chosen.
All right, hey, it is great to see you out here today. This is what America is all about. God bless you guys. Who is ready to open up Illinois? This is what it's about. Freedom, liberty, the rule of law, and the Constitution of the United States of America. Just because we are in a pandemic does not mean that we have suspended the Constitution. That is so important to remember. We have rights. You have rights. Business owners have rights. Small businesses have rights. Churches have rights. We are all essential. That's what you need to know. You need to stand up. You need to speak up. You need to put pressure on your local leaders to speak up. We have plans, all right? We have a back to business plan that is safe, that is responsible, and it's immediate, and it needs to be enacted. So you need to get with your county officials and you need to get it going right now, because people got to get back to work. That's what we're all about. So God bless you guys for being out here. Don't stand down to the powers that be. Ask questions. We don't take no for an answer. America does not take no for an answer when it comes to the Constitution. So let's remember that. Let's keep up the fight. Keep up the pressure. Thank you so much, and God bless you. God bless America. God bless Illinois. Thank you.
I present Representative Chris Miller.
Welcome to Springfield, you freedom-loving patriots! I don't know if you know this or not, but you have just entered the zone of truth. I brought with me today a handy piece of information that you all might want to look at. It is the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights. There is a question that Patrick Henry asked freedom-loving patriots over 200 years ago. He said, "Is life so dear and peace so sweet to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery?" And he said, forbid it, Almighty God, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." It's time to take our country back. It's time to take our state back. There's one thing that there is always a silver lining in every so-called crisis. And this silver lining here is we are able to identify our enemies, both foreign and domestic. We have identified China as a foreign enemy. We have identified our domestic enemies in Nancy Pelosi and J.B. Pritzker. She wants to destroy the United States of America, and he wants to destroy the state of Illinois. And it is high time for freedom-loving Americans to speak up. One thing that we understand is the blue model of governing has left a trail of destruction from Connecticut to California. We cannot tax, we cannot borrow, and we cannot spend our way to prosperity. Hard-working Americans and hard-working Illinoisans need to be able to go back to work today. They all say, "What about the money?" And I say, "What about your freedom?" There's one thing that we have witnessed is there's a set of rules for the billionaires from Chicago, and there's another set of rules for us freedom-loving patriots that live in other places. And that hypocrisy has got to stop. I know, when you think about this, I haven't been involved in the state legislature very long, but in my short time here, I have heard a lot of whoppers. Believe me, sometimes you just have to stand back and think, really? I mean, these guys get really creative, but by far, the biggest whopper that I have heard to date is that J.B. Pritzker is a rancher. but he had to go to Florida to his $12 million estate. He had to go to Wisconsin to his estate to take care of the livestock because he's an essential service. Yeah. Hey, I'm just disseminating information. But one thing that I thought that he probably doesn't have the PPE for his newfound essential service, being a rancher. And so I brought him some things today to help him on his ranch. I bought him a horse so he could ride around. And I bought him a cowboy hat. I bought him a red cowboy hat because we're going to turn Illinois red.
Now what we need to do, folks, is we need to reopen Illinois. We need to flip this state red. Now I'm not talking to mauve. I'm not talking to work with the other side, kind of blue. I'm talking a deep red. The kind of red like each and every one of you that's out here today supporting Trump, ready for change. Because together we're going to change this state. We're going to change the course of our destiny and take back Illinois from the radical totalitarian state that the Democrats have put in. Ladies and gentlemen, it's you. It's not the politicians, it's you that get the job done. Your voice, your toil, your hard work and dedication to your constitutional rights. That's right. So ladies and gentlemen, we will reopen Illinois. We will flip this state red and we will change it. It's going to happen because, ladies and gentlemen, conservatism, principled conservatism works every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I want to thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you. Keep up the fight. Keep moving forward. We will get it done. Thank you.
We're standing here today. God, right?
Yeah.
You look at the Declaration of Independence, and you look at 4 times in the Declaration of Independence, they tell us where we get our rights from. Our rights are based in nature's laws and nature's God. We're endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. In referring to the executive branch, it's providence that will guide them. In referring to the judicial branch, it's the supreme God that will guide them. Wouldn't God have an interest in blessing a country that pledged such allegiance to Him? So, just a little split as to what's going on right now. I'm from Lake County, Illinois, which is probably the second bluest county in Illinois. And just recently, in the midst of this coronavirus where everything has to shut down, they opened an abortion clinic so that they could prey on Latinos and blacks that live in Waukegan and Lake County, Illinois. Who's the party that needs God? What happened next is the sheriff that I was a sheriff for 12 years, the guy that comes after me, puts up a portal on his website so that if anybody isn't wearing a mask, by the way, I'm not wearing a mask, if anybody is too close to anyone, that you can report them so that they can investigate your violations of the governor's rules. How about that?
Violation of my body to not let a community work.
Damn right. You know, lastly, they're the ones that came up for clarification. My office, my old sheriff's office, how can we enforce only 2 people in the boat? We want to do it, Governor. Just tell us how we should be doing it. Unbelievable. What country are they from? Yeah. That's not America, is it? So you look at this country, and you look at, this party. Why do you think we're here today? We're here for freedom, but we're also here because 30 years ago, 40 years ago, we didn't have any Chris Millers. We didn't have any Blaine Wilhauers. We didn't have any Darren Baileys. We got them now. And
Durkin, who may be over at Senator Durbin's house right now, watch out, buddy. They don't play those games. They're not out for what's in it for them. They're in it for what's out for America and Illinois. I don't know what happened to those two guys that were up here with the signs. And, you know, what I would say to you, when you have faith, we don't fear death. Right? Our courage, we die to self every day so that we can fight the battle for righteousness against evil in Illinois and in America. So, this is an awesome day. I don't want this party to end. Senator Durbin lives over there. I'm sure he'd welcome us all. A few cocktails. We could talk about what he did for the last 38 years, watching Illinois become the fiscal nightmare of the United States. I want to finish with one thing. Father, we have a president that has fought for our liberty like none other. That's right. We have a Supreme Court that we can all finally trust to ensure our constitutional liberties. We are living in the desert right now, Father. We are in the most God-forsaken state in America. But we are fighters. We will be obedient to you. We ask you, Father, bless us with 4 more years of Donald Trump, and let's make Illinois red. Thank you!
Hello, Illinois. I love this state. My parents chose to come to this state when they both came to the United States of America. They came from Germany. They grew up as children during the war. During that time, my father especially saw some extremely cruel things happen. My grandparents were very devout Christians, and because of that, they were targeted. They were refused loans from their local privately owned bank because they were on the watch list from their government. In East Germany, the walls finally came down. But you know what it took? It took a small group of people that met in prayer at a Lutheran church in Leipzig. In the basement, it grew. One day, they decided to go public. It was 20, maybe 24 people that were outside protesting against this regime that was reporting on anything and everything that their people did. Neighbors were snitching on neighbors. And they grew. In the numbers, next week they had 300 people. The next week, they had 3,000 people. After that, it spread into other cities as well. Finally, it was 500,000 people strong. In a few short weeks, these people wanted liberty. They wanted freedom. And they wanted to make sure that that wall was separating them from their cousins and their friends and family and neighbors was finally down so that they could experience liberty themselves. It took great risk for those first few that first came forward and said, no, we don't want to live in this kind of a communist society. But it happened. Finally, that wall came down. Now, my great-grandfather was a pastor during World War II. And he was told that he had to submit his sermons to the locals so that they could, the local Nazis, so they could censor his sermon. Well, he refused, and they took his church away from him. I see liberties eroding right in front of my eyes. This is not what my parents came to this country for. They came to this country, they came to this state. They came to Central Illinois because of the freedom. And I will not have that taken away. No. Open Illinois! Open Illinois! Open Illinois! Open Illinois! Open Illinois! Open Illinois!
Open Illinois!
God bless each and every one of you. Are you ready? And I know you are, but we've got to take Illinois back. That starts today. Are you ready? We're taking our state back, guys. No more of this nonsense. Listen to me. Next Friday, 1 o'clock at the Clay County Courthouse in my hometown of Louisville, our governor is going to be found to have been unconstitutional and illegal. This thought just dawned on me. Do you remember what happened on Memorial Day weekend 1 year ago in this building behind us? Anybody remember that? We passed total, complete, full-term funded abortion, covered up in a women's health care bill. That's all that was. Next weekend, friends, you're going to be free, okay? So, next weekend, it's time to... USA! Thank you. Thank you, friends. So this next week's going to be a big week otherwise. Next Wednesday, we're going to be right down the street here, up the street, I guess, at the Bank of Springfield Center. I encourage any of you who can be there to be there, because you've probably heard the drama about wearing masks. I've been asked by the press if I intend on wearing a mask. I have not given an answer to that. I'm not wearing a mask, friends. If you want to wear a mask to protect yourself, you wear a mask. That's perfectly fine. That's the purpose of a mask, to protect yourself. I have no problem with that. But don't be sitting there trampling my rights like the Chicago Democrats are doing and taking my freedoms. So I encourage you to be here next Wednesday when the representatives march into that building, and let's see what's going to happen. So other than that, friends, listen, our freedoms are at stake. There's no doubt about that. Our freedoms have been trampled on. I want to end just with this, just a word of encouragement, because we can't forget. We look around us right now. We've got many police officers here, you know, protecting us. Thank you for them. But sometimes these guys have to, you know, sometimes things get kind of hectic, and you may not agree with what they're telling you. But listen, friends, we have got to respect people, okay? Always respect those people in charge. Just respect them. When you leave here today, tell them thank you. When you go back home, your county health workers who are you know, they're in it. Our governor has put them in a ridiculously bad spot, and they're catching a lot of heat. So when you get home, the health workers that work for the county, tell them thank you, because I'm going to tell you what, I know this for a fact. Many of them agree with us and they believe what we're doing, but you know, they got their back against a wall. And we've had our back against a wall too long. So one more bit of information. And as I've met many of you, I've asked you several questions. I've asked you where you're from. I've asked you who your state representative and who your state senator is. Many of you don't know. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I was just like you a few years ago. If we are going to create change in this state, you have to get your hands dirty, and you've got to get involved, friends. Know your representatives, know your elected officials, starting at the precinct committee person, the village, the county, and all the way up to here, and you hold them accountable. And if they're not doing what you believe they should be doing, you tell them, and if they won't listen to you, you find somebody to run against them and replace them. That's how we would change this state. Thank you, friends. Listen, I want to close this with prayer, because I just believe this is so important, that this country, our foundations, the very freedoms that we experience and enjoy, they're God-given, okay? God gave them to us, and He's going to help us keep them, okay? Yeah, I keep hearing this recall word a lot. So you got to have 750,000 signatures to consider a recall of the governor, and then here's the deal: you've got to have an equal number of Republicans and Democrats on both sides. Getting some Democrats to sign on are going to be a little bit difficult unless you hold your representatives accountable. Okay, that can be done. Other than that, it should be a lot easier after next weekend when Governor Pritzker is found unconstitutional and illegal. We're going to wait for that day.
It is time to reopen America. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start today by reminding you that all of the people who have told you for months that you are not allowed to go to work or open up your businesses, those people have not missed a single paycheck. The information we've been given since we first heard about coronavirus months ago has been consistently inconsistent, reliably unreliable, skewed, manipulated, exaggerated, politicized, and then used as a hammer to hit us over the head by the government leaders who aren't leading it all, but instead are wreaking havoc on our economy, on our lives, and trampling on our civil rights guaranteed to us as Americans born into freedom, not government tyranny and overreach. For months now, the narrative has been that it is safe enough and acceptable enough to shop at large corporate entities like Walmart, Target, large supermarkets, but small businesses must keep their doors closed for the good of the public. That doesn't make sense. A new social narrative has been created. The callous accusation that people like you and I are selfish because we believe the tens of millions of unemployed, suffering, financially devastated Americans in this country are a priority too. Because there is no such thing as an unessential job. There's nothing more essential than putting food on your family's table and a roof over their heads. If you work to feed your family or yourself, you have an essential job. If you work because you love what you do, you have an essential job. That's right. If you work because it keeps you a happy, well-adjusted member of society, you have an essential job. Now, none of us are here today because we think that coronavirus is a hoax, but we have followed the rules and guidelines. Right. We closed our businesses. We stayed home. We drove a record-breaking economy into the ground. We did all of this because we were told we needed to flatten the curve, and because Americans will always rise to the occasion when called upon to sacrifice for the good of our neighbors and for the good of our country. But we have flattened the curve. We followed the rules. The cases of coronavirus have come down, and still we face an unyielding lockdown under tyrannical leadership. Meanwhile, the cases of unemployment, bankruptcy, addiction, and suicide are going up and up and up. Well, I say it's time to flatten the curve on the economic, psychological, and spiritual destruction that will cost more lives. That will cost more lives and more devastation than coronavirus ever will. That's right. In 2007, America entered the Great Recession. A study of that recession found that for every percentage point increase in the unemployment rate, there was about a 1.6% increase in the suicide rate. The unemployment rate rose over 10% just last month in April. It's projected this rate could potentially reach over 25%, rates worse than the Great Depression. By these figures, we could be looking at a 32% increase in the suicide rate based on unemployment. In just the state of Texas alone, this study estimated that suicides could increase by 18,000 and drug overdose deaths by more than 22,000. That would add up to over half of the deaths reported as coronavirus deaths. Meanwhile, across the globe, the country of Sweden never shut down. In Sweden, citizens are still welcome to enjoy restaurants, bars, gyms, public parks, to shop, eat, live, and love. Schools remain open. And of the over 10,330,000 people who live in Sweden, 3,256 have died. And the vast majority of them were over 70 years old. Now, the Swedes now realize they did not take ample care to protect this elderly demographic. So you know what they're doing? They're adjusting measures to protect this vulnerable group. Also, by not staying locked up during the outbreak, the Swedes are building herd immunity. The vast majority of citizens who are not at risk of death from coronavirus are out building up crucial antibodies, which will help stave off a second outbreak in the fall and winter. What they are not doing is quarantining the healthy. What they are not doing is wreaking havoc, panic, fear, and a constant drip of misinformation to the public. And you know what? It works. Sweden's government believed it didn't need to enforce guidelines regarding social distancing on a population that would heed the advice of the country's independent agencies. Because according to polling data, Swedes have a high level of trust in their country's public institutions. But trust in public institutions is another thing the Swedes have right now that we don't. What we have here in the United States is a pathetic, shameful, fake news propaganda industry that wouldn't know the truth if it rolled in smoking a cigarette and wearing one of Maxine Waters' wigs. I just threw that in there. It didn't even fit. I just shoved it in. The media in this country has been lying to us every single day for so long, spreading false narratives, defending China, defending the World Health Organization, and now they want to be believed. They want to be able to snap their fingers and tell you that it's your moral obligation and duty to trust them, to stay at home, to lose everything you've ever worked for. No! You can't get a paycheck. You must wear a face mask everywhere you go. Well, it doesn't work that way. You have lost our trust. To the media in America, we do not trust you anymore. And we will not listen to the fake news in this country. From the moment we are born, it's in our DNA. Americans long for freedom. We will always live and breathe and fight and die for our freedom. Freedom from tyranny, from suppression, from government control. Human beings are at their best when they are free to create, to work, to build, to earn, to make, to excel, and to achieve and to thrive. That is what makes human beings great, and that is what makes America great. We have never and will never allow our government to dictate what we can and cannot do or to infringe upon our constitutional rights and our freedom. We will never allow it. Our voices are being heard. We are making a difference, and we will stay on top of these officials every day until we get our lives and our country and our freedom back. Not 25%, not 50%, not 6 feet away, but 100% restoration of our rights as Americans. I walked away from liberal media lies, big government, corrupt politicians, bad policies, and a swamp of dirty players who don't care about me, don't care about you, or any of the American people. Join me as together we walk away from the corruption in leadership that has forgotten about the American people. Let's reopen America now! Walk away! 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 Let's reopen America!
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.